Guillem, I'm going to have you kick it off. But first, for everybody who's watching on YouTube, make sure that you leave the comments below because we want to know what you guys predict. Is it going to end up being the same that we do, or is it a little bit different? So let's start the debate here.
Okay.
All right, Guillem, you're going to kick it off. Who do you think is the fourth team that's going to make Champions League?
Ooh.
This is a good one.
For me, if it's not 5, like this season, let's say it's only 4, Villarreal have got all what you need, plus the 3 or 4 players that they need to get before the 1st of September to actually be consistent. That's important. Consistent in 2 competitions. I think the likes of Athletic Club that could compete for that 4th place will suffer much more. Athletic Club is a team that depends a lot on physicality. Probably the top 5 will be similar, but I do feel that Villarreal will go ahead, finish 4th, because they've got in Marcelino, one of the top managers around, and they've got players that are actually, even though Alex Baena is gone, for instance, and Piero Barney is go as well to Everton, they will bring others, and they still got the likes of Ayoce and Gerard Moreno, Jeremy, players that are actually got the level to give that consistency that's necessary when you play 2 big competitions.
The only thing that I'm going to disagree with Guillem on is the team that he selected. And it's only because I'm just going to go off of exactly what he said, consistency. And I feel like Athletic Club demonstrated that in one aspect last year, which was defensive consistency. I love the defensive unit. I love the goalkeeper. I love how tactically astute they are in terms of understanding each other's roles. And I think there's something to be said about continuity and going into a season. They're a team that understands, in terms of European competitions, how to balance that within a squad. Yes, there's been a few changes. I mean, that's normal within any season. But what I do like is the fact that if you looked at them at the end of 38 games and you looked at their season, you think to yourself, you only lost 6 games. How does that weigh up in terms of the other major teams in that league? Of course, we're always talking about the top 3. Immediately, they've equally stacked up. So that, for me, tells me in terms of a foundation of you don't lose games. So then can you now start converting those draws into wins? And that's what I'm just looking forward to seeing them this year. But you know I would never go against you, Guillem. And I'm always going to say Villarreal are an amazing team as well.
I think with Villarreal, the issue is that they're in a bit of a rebuild. They lost some of their defensive juggernauts, their creativity players that they have. And so because of that, I'm also going to go with you with Athletic Club. I think this is the year for them with all of the Nico Williams chatter that has happened over the summer. It is the year for them to advance to that 4th spot, and they're going to clinch it. They'll get Champions League.
I wanted to pick Villarreal, but the absence of Alex Baena, I feel like, is a massive loss for them. And with Athletic Club, I think they're going to be competing in a lot of competitions. I don't know if the depth's going to be there. I think that's a huge problem that you're going to see in La Liga as well with Celta Vigo, Rayo Vallecano. There's a lot of teams that just don't have the depth. So I'm going for it. I'm going to say Osasuna.
What? Listen, we built all that up. I was like, oh, the 3 of us on the desk.
They finished 9th last year, just missed the European competition spot. They were one of the toughest teams in La Liga last season, defeating Barcelona at home, drawing against Real Madrid, beating Atletico Madrid as well. Even though they lost Zaragoza, who is now on loan to Celta Vigo, they're getting Victor Munoz, who is a talented player in Real Madrid's academy, on the squad. I think there's something they can build off of. A new manager coming in as well with Alessio Lisi. I think because they get to focus just on La Liga while all these other teams are going to be too thin to try and compete both in Europe and on La Liga, I think they can surprise some folks.
Wow. I mean, we definitely all agree. It's Real Madrid, Barcelona, Atletico Madrid. So, but I love that the 4th one for all of you guys is a little bit different.
Okay.
With the Osasuna, Villarreal,
my live score. I'm watching all of their results every week.
Hit me up.
I love that. All right. Well, moving on to our next award, Golden Boot Award. Now, this one, everyone I know that all of you guys agreed on. So, Guillem, I'm going to have you take this one away. You be the spokesperson for everybody here at the desk that we think that the Golden Boot winner is going to be Kylian Mbappé.
It's going to be Mbappé because you've got a team that is going to change the way they play a little bit, which means that they will want to dominate games. They will want to keep possession in the last third. There's going to be pressure high. And if they do that well, there'll be so many occasions in which the one who will be without the with the space, with the opportunity to score, that's probably going to be Mbappé. And he had a problem in the first 2 or 3 months when things weren't working for him. I think he's focused now. He knows what he needs. And, yeah, he's going to be having so many chances to score. If he's a bit more effective, he will just be well ahead of the rest of the group of goal scorers this season.
All right, well, I think that's where it ends with the consensus here, because I think it's going to change a little bit moving forward.
I don't know, because now I'm thinking about it, and I'm not going to change
Are you about to change your answer?
No, I'm not. I'm just throwing out some names, because obviously Lewandowski is a name that we've seen. He had the injury last year, and if he didn't have the injury, ending on 27 goals, you don't know what he could have done in terms of for the Pachichi. So
can he stay healthy?
Yeah.
I'm in my 30s too. You know what it's like when you get out of bed, sometimes your back just hurts a little bit more.
I feel this morning.
It hurts just a little bit more.
Yeah.
Barcelona has too much attacking power to spread the wealth. It can't be just one player taking it all.
If I'm going to take a flyer on someone, it's going to be Julian Alvarez. I think he's a tremendous talent. We saw what he was able to do immediately at Atletico Madrid. You bring in Alex Baena, who's going to help facilitate and create more chances for him. If you're going to go for a long shot, I think he's the one to go for.
Hey, all right. Well, answers are already locked in, so no changing. Okay?
I'm not.
Okay, Lisa, kick it off with rules. You guys submitted this yesterday, all right? So we're not changing it. Graphics are already drawn up. Lisa, who do you have for Player of the Year?
My Player of the Year is just barely 18 years old, Lamine Yamal.
Come on.
He has had a tremendous preseason, 4 goals through 4 matches, and since turning 18, we have seen a different side to Lamine Yamal. He looks a little bigger, a little stronger, faster when he's on the pitch. The creativity of this player that we saw so consistently last year is only going to get better, take steps forward. So Lamine Yamal, hands down, is my Player of the Year.
Now, I know everybody else except Master also chose Lamine Yamal. So, Master, who did you pick?
I'm picking the same guy we got as Golden Boot, Kylian Mbappé.
Oh, okay.
The last 7 seasons, we've seen whoever's won La Liga has typically had the Player of the Year. And, I mean, if we're being honest, last year Rafinha was the Player of the Year. So I think Mbappé, this is the year he's got to step up. And obviously the biggest thing that we saw with Club World Cup is his pressing. We know what he can do from a scoring, attacking perspective, but this is the year that he has to step up as the leader of Real Madrid. I think he answers the call because there's so many questions, so much of a burden on his shoulders right now. Xabi Alonso is going to be able to get the most out of him. I think, if anything, playing in the Club World Cup helped because he saw the deficiencies of this team and being able to work them through in a competitive matches. They just got to get through the Jude Bellingham injury for the first couple months, but I think Mbappé is going to play a huge role in that and win Player of the Year.
I've only got one question for you. How do you think Mbappé will work on the other side of Xabi Alonso's requirements, especially the pressing side? Because
That's the thing. Luis Enrique wasn't able to get it. Carlo Ancelotti wasn't able to get it. But, again, they won trophies without Mbappé. If Mbappé wants to be the player that we all think he can be, he's got to press. And I think it's now or never for him.
Okay.
All right. Well, Guillem, I'm going to come to you for Manager of the Year. And may I say, whoever is holding your camera right now is Camera Person of the Year, because we've been going for a long time. So props to them.
It started to trembling a little bit. But yes, Matias Almeida. And you wonder why, because Sevilla will probably end up mid-table. If they do, what a success that would be. Right now, for the game of the weekend, Matias Almeida and Sevilla have got only 12 players available. And that could just continue until the 1st of September, when they manage to sell a couple of players and bring 3 or 4 more. But that will be right at the end of the transfer market. And meanwhile, even though there is not enough quality, Lukaku being still the main star of Sevilla, you look around and there is not enough to actually even perhaps survive. You're talking about a team that won the Europa League in 2023, but since then they finished 15th and 17th and seem to be on the way down on a dynamic that also affects the inside the club. There's a battle between Dad and son. They'll need a dad, they'll need a son for the ownership of the club. It makes everything very unstable. In the middle of all that, there will be somebody, I think, that will just put the boat in a stable place and drive it to the end of the season to meet the table. As I said, that would be a success.
I think for the conditions that Matias Almeida is having to be under right now, I think he's going to be under immense pressure. So I'll never go against Guillem, and I see exactly what you're doing in terms of your thought process, but I'm always going to stay at the top of the table. That's what we do when we're focusing on La Liga, right? And I feel, and I said it earlier, and I know Master looked at me as if I was speaking French, but I'm going to put it out again. Barcelona are the best team in Europe right now.
You might be speaking German now.
So I just think when you look at the best team in Europe and you look at the manager and the philosophy, and he now has a pre-season also to implement his philosophy even deeper. Hansi Flick is going to be, I think he's going to run away with it this year. 102 goals last year. Now we're talking about a team that can build on that, have added even more firepower to their team, even more youngsters and flair, and the development. I'm so excited to see Koubazi play. Honestly, I'm so excited to watch him play again, because because as someone who started off as a defender, I just think he's the embodiment of what I look at as the next group of defenders that's coming through that are, and we throw this title around all the time, but wonder kid, because he's elite. But it's just a philosophy, the way they can pin you down in your half. It can feel like it's 110 minutes because of how they're just counter-pressing you, domination of possession, one attack after the other. And the high line as well, I think it's become so attractive. For me, I've wanted to see football go back to that. I know people can question mark and be like, oh, well, how many near decisions are going to be? How many times are we going to see them running towards their own goal? I know Master really knows about it. But I will say something to you. We all grew up in a different philosophy. Maybe we grew up in 4-4-2 in our generation, right? And the high line was something that allowed you to put pressure on the opposition. I'm so encouraged in seeing a manager being brave and wanting to implement that back into a team. Not wanting to sit in, wanting to showcase his attacking prowess. So Hansi Flick for me is my selection.
Oh, I like that pick. I am sticking with the top of the table as well, though, but I'm going with Xabi Alonso because this is a coach that has come in, and I think he's going to be able to have Mbappé and Vinny Jr. coexist. He has rejuvenated and refocused Real Madrid to be a team that's going to give consistency. And to already be at the top, I think if they win La Liga, which we'll get to those predictions, that is going to be a clear win for Xabi Alonso.
Master?
I'm agreeing with her. I think the tactical differences that you'll see from a Carlo Ancelotti to a Xabi Alonso, this is going to be a much more structured team, a much more disciplined team. They've got a lot more support in the back line. And Xabi Alonso, we've seen him come in year one and being able to restructure a team with less talent than what we're seeing in Real Madrid. I think truly he makes his mark as one of the best managers in the world if you don't already believe that, which some people are skeptical.
Claudia, I can see where this is going for the teams that they believe is going.
Hey, man.
I can see where I can see where we're going already. I can feel it.
Oh, man.
I can feel it.
You can feel it?
I can feel
All right, well, let's see how we're feeling about La Liga champions. That's our last award. Now, this one is split between everybody here. So, Master, I want you to take it away for Real Madrid. Guillem, I'm going to come to you shortly to give the argument for Barcelona, but Master, take it away for Real Madrid first.
So there's two conflicting trends in La Liga that's going on right now. The last 6 seasons, the betting favorite has won La Liga only once, and that was the 23-24 Real Madrid team. Obviously, Real Madrid is the betting favorite, but a team has not repeated in La Liga since Barcelona did it 2018 and 2019 season. So one of these things have to give, and I think Barcelona's not going to repeat. I think everything broke right for Barcelona last season. You talked about the high line. I don't think you're giving enough credit to how many brilliant managers there are in Spain right now who spent all summer long figuring out how to dissect that. And if you think your strategy is going to be that you can continue to outscore every single team in a chaotic way, that's just not a sustainable model for success. And I don't think they have enough depth to continue that while also trying to compete in Champions League. Meanwhile, the conversation around Real Madrid has been about is it Mbappé, Vinny? There is a depth of riches on this roster.
And they've strengthened defensively this summer and what they've been able to do.
Alvaro Carreras, they added Dean Huijsen, who we saw was fantastic in the Club World Cup. We'll see. There's been some good reports on Militao. I think Arda Güler is going to be in a great spot now with Xabi Alonso. This team is very deep. Again, they'll have to manage around the Jude Bellingham injury. There's some other situations that they have to manage around, but this team is deep. They're very complete, and there's so many different ways that they can attack you with playing 3 in the back, as we saw in the Club World Cup, playing in a 4-4-2, 4-3-3. There's so many options and different ways that Xabi can attack you. I really like Real Madrid to win this.
Get him, Guillem. Get him, Guillem.
Guillem, take it away for us for Barcelona.
Let's just say 3 things, right? Number 1, you know Hansi Flick is a good coach, and he knows what was the problem last season. I understand that Íñigo Martínez not being there is a voice of leadership that has disappeared, but Cubarsí looks better. So they will adjust the defense, and they will still outscore everyone. That's the first thing to say, and in my eyes, gives Barcelona the possibility of winning the title. Number 2, let's look at Real Madrid. They finally decided to take the longer route to consistent success, which is structural football, positional football. And with Xabi Alonso, they will get that. In fact, they will copy, if you like, or try to go on the trend that has been created by 5 out of the 8 quarter-finalists of the Champions League. They're all going that way. Aston Villa, Liverpool, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, Chelsea, etc. Real Madrid are going that way. But that takes time. And he doesn't know yet, Xabi Alonso, if he's got the midfield that he requires to do this kind of thing. And he's going to have to add layers to Real Madrid. He will need time. He can create an era, not next season. The third thing to say, Lamine Yamal. A year ago, he grew 10 centimeters. I think this year he's also grew 10 centimeters. But this way, Have you seen him? His body is just incredible. He's now stronger, and he started the preseason so much better than even last season. So he scored 4 goals, best goal scorer of Barcelona in preseason. He's giving more assists than anyone, and he just wants to just show that he's right when he said, "I'm going to get better. We're going to win everything. We're going to be in the final of the Champions League soon," and he will be the leader of all that. Try to beat that.
Guillem, we're going to kick it off with you for the superlative. Starting off with best young player not named Lamine Yamal.
Yeah, it would be unfair to just give it to him as well, although he probably would be the best young player. He's only 18. But I go for Paulo Garcia. He's a Betis forward. He's been played at the moment on the right-hand side of the attack of Manuel Pellegrini's team. He was the superstar of the Spanish national side under 19 that won the European Championships. He's not a typical winger, but he is one that will score goals, and Betis will need that. This is a player that will help. While Isco, for instance, is out, not similar, but in any case, you've got somebody that you perhaps haven't heard a lot of, and you will in a couple of months.
Take it away.
Again, I just feel like I changed my pick all the time, and I'm not going to upset you. I'm not going to upset you. Because I'm going to stick with what I actually said.
You want to recreate Tugon content right now? I've been waiting for this.
Pau Cubarsí is going to be having a sensational season. I think he's going to get the minutes. I think he's going to show the development. I think he's going to showcase why he's not just one of the best young players in the world, but one of the elite defenders in the world. But in terms of players that I was circling, I think the Club World Cup helped shape my mind a little bit. I'm looking forward to Gonzalo Garcia. I'm just looking forward to what he does in this Real Madrid team, what he can do in terms of when he can actually have an impact, when he can have some minutes, because he knows he's going to come in as a backup striker. Look, you have the stars that's leading the line, and we don't need to go through him. You know what we're talking about when we're talking about Real Madrid's forward line. But what can you do in terms of impact? And it reminds me of an Englishman that went there at one point, Michael Owen, and he had to turn around and contest with those same level of stars and try and find his way in. But when he did play, he was impactful. So I'm just looking forward to seeing what he can do. And can he push himself into contention for other things, in terms of international recognition, all the rest of it, just going into what I feel like is a really important season for a lot of players. So I'm looking at him as a young player that I think is going to burst out this year.
You know who was trying to sign Gonzalo Garcia in the summer? Osasuna was trying. and then we saw what happened in the Club World Cup, so they pivoted. I'm going to stick with Real Madrid, but I'm going to go to someone that perhaps should have deserved more time last season, and is someone that somehow is flying under the radar, and that's Arda Güler. 20 years old still. So much love when you talk to Turkish people about his talent, his capabilities. We've seen it on the international stage. Unfortunately, last year, he didn't really have the trust of Carlo Ancelotti, which Carlo Ancelotti didn't trust a lot of his youngsters under the pressure he was in. But you're seeing a lot of positive reports right now about how Arda will be used off on the right side in Xabi Alonso's formation, and particularly with the absence. No one really filled in the role for Toni Kroos's absence, and now you're missing Luka Modric as well. I see him as someone, especially with Jude Bellingham's injury to start the season, he's going to be someone that's going to play an integral part of getting everyone involved, particularly Kylian Mbappé, particularly as well. You got Vinicius on the left side. And, I mean, we talk about Lamine Yamal's left foot, but Arda Güler in that corner as well. He can stroke a beautiful curler into the back of the net. So he's, for me, outside of Lamine, I think he's going to be an incredible talent.
Yeah, of course, the asterisk is outside of Lamine Yamal. But I'm looking at Real Betis and their youth product in Pablo Garcia, because this young 19-year-old has proven himself in this preseason game. Did you guys see the worldie this man scored in the match at the end of July against Coventry City U18? The fact that he can do that with such poise, control over the ball, he's got a quick trigger. I think the ceiling's really high for this player in Pablo Garcia. It's how much time he gets on the pitch and how influential he can be in the game, but he's one I'm excited to watch.
All right, well, Lisa, I'm going to stick with you. What do you think will be the biggest story outside of the top 3 clubs? Real Madrid, Barça.
I love this. Of course, they have so many big stories around them, but I'm excited to see Real Oviedo make it back into La Liga after 24 years. The Cinderella story that has surrounded this club to make it back into this top flight has been really fun to watch them, especially when you have Santi Cazorla, who has led this club, going back to his childhood club to make it a goal and his mission to come back into the top flight, and now he's done it. So how do they fare? How do they keep the story and the fireworks going with Real Oviedo is my story of the year?
You're going from a hopeful and optimistic story, and I'm going a bit more pessimistic, is what's going to happen with Sevilla? Are they going to get relegated? This has been a team that's been continuously on the decline. They're not even the best team in their own city, as Real Betis has been able to step up right now. And the last 3 seasons, what we've seen finish 12th, 14th, 17th, it's not getting any better. We used to joke around about how they were the kings of Europa. We're not even seeing them in European competition, period. They're just trying to fight for survival with the financial concerns they have. They haven't been relegated since the 1999-2000 season. I think this could be a situation where it comes down to the final match day for them, unfortunately, because it's going to be a battle once again for them to be able to stay up, which is a very, very difficult thing to say about La Liga because they need Sevilla to be performing well and performing at the top of the table.
I've already circled some things, and I love the fact that we've all had different ideas when it comes to this, but mine is focused on a derby. And I'm looking for that Villarreal-Valencia game, and all of a sudden I'm starting to question and think to myself, okay, well, there's a certain aspect now that's really important in that. And Danjuma's move, I feel like, has now all of a sudden gone underneath the radar, but it's one that I didn't know rivalries in terms of, usually where I come from, we don't do business with each other. West Ham, Spurs don't do business. Arsenal, Tottenham, that has its own history. To see someone make their circulation in terms of from one part of the city to another part, especially knowing the important dynamic between those two teams and how close they are in terms of proximity. I'm now all of a sudden interested in understanding why Danjuma did that. I can understand the huge and the allure of Valencia, but more importantly, I've already circled that game in February and said to myself, that's a big game now. How do you handle that pressure? So I know it's focused on one aspect, but I like it as a talking point. It's something that's different and we don't see every day.
I love it. Guillem, what about you? What's a big story that you're looking at outside the top 3 clubs?
You know, when you look at stories and personalities, you cannot stop loving certain people. And I'm very close to Rafa Benitez, who's been in the show a few times. And when he left Celta, I heard from him that, you know, this thing with Claudio Giraldez was not going to go well. And it's going so well, actually. When Claudio, who was the Celta B manager, has brought in 14 out of 30 players that he used last season, come through the ranks with exciting football. The fans absolutely love it. He goes and takes Celta to the Europa League. And then I had to forget my alliance to Rafa Benitez and think, like, I'm enjoying what Celta are doing. So I'm going to keep an eye on them going far. Celta, Claudio Giraldez, Iago Aspas, Borja Iglesias, who was on loan but has been bought now by Celta. All those local boys going into Europe in the Europa League and trying to make an impact. And I think they will. For me, that will be one of the stories to follow.
Yep, that'll be a fantastic story. All right, let's move on in our superlatives. Lisa, who is a player that you'll love by December?
Yeah, this was a fun one to pick. I'm going with Pablo Barrios with Atletico Madrid, the young 22-year-old. He is really fun to watch play. He has a lot of joy when he's on the ball and his movements and what he's able to do. I think it'll be a bit of a slow burn. That's why I picked him as the one to love come December, but that's who I'm going with. Barrios.
I'm going to go with Alex Baena. I mean, I love him September, October, November, December, you name it, any month of the calendar year. This is a player that, being in this Atletico Madrid side, I think a lot more people are going to be exposed to him on a bigger scale. And I think truly he's going to be the difference maker for Atletico Madrid in being able to be a 10-goal, 10-assist kind of guy. I also have Atletico Madrid ahead of Barcelona, because I think the depth that they have, and I think Alex Baena's addition is a huge emphasis for this team. They're going to be competing for La Liga title, and that was a great, great addition that went under the radar.
I'm going for Yasser Asprilla, and only because I just love players. Honestly, I've watched him twice in the Champions League for the last couple of seasons, and I just think to myself, like, you know what? That's a player that I would have just hated to play against. Finds the spaces in the right places. I know people will look at the goal continuation and what's his contributions in terms of from the stat line, but if you're actually watching it with the eye test, he is the heartbeat of his team. He is the impact player. Can he do it in the half terms? So I think Asprilla is the player that I've circulated. And I think I'm going to give him till December as an opportunity for us to just fall in love with him again. That's what we want to do.
Guillem, how about you? What player will you fall in love with by December?
Marcus Rashford, obviously.
I knew that was coming.
Obviously.
I knew that was coming.
Just a bunch of reasons. He's a top player that needs to be looked after. And having done a book with Aston Villa this year and having been seeing him close up for 6 months, I think the coaches hit in the places, his mind mostly, confidence, a lot of things that he needed to focus on to be able to be the Marcus Rashford that we knew. Remember him against PSG, especially in Villa Park? He was absolutely outstanding. So he comes to Barcelona. He says he had butterflies in his stomach when he first came in. That's good. He wants to impress, and he knows he'll have his time. Lewandowski is out. Okay, he hasn't been registered, so he may not play the weekend against Mallorca. Ferran Torres and him will fight for number 9 when Lewandowski's not there, but he can also play in the place of Rafinha, who was burned out at the end of the season, and Hansi Flick doesn't want that. He will have his time, his explosive pace, his goal-scoring form. This is going to be a guy that we all fall in love with, and I think Barcelona fans are going to be surprised about him too.
If he gets to play.
That's what I was going to say. We'll fall in love with him if he gets registered to be able to play for Barcelona. All right, moving on to our next one. Lisa, who will be the biggest transfer flop?
Marcus Rashford.
Oh!
If he gets to play, I'm not convinced, Guillem, that we are going to see this rejuvenated, entirely new Marcus Rashford at Barcelona. I don't think the registration's going to happen. How is he going to find his time onto the pitch? I'm not convinced yet. He's my biggest flop.
Ooh.
You know what? I'm right there with you. I got Marcus Rashford as well.
Let's go.
Get him registered. Danny Olmo took to midway through last season for it to happen, and he's going to have a lot of pressure on him. He's already going on podcasts trying to do this whole rejuvenation, perception, PR campaign. I don't know. There's going to be a lot of pressure on him from the media, from the fans, and if he's not producing early, whenever he gets registered, I don't know how he's going to do, man.
Okay, clearly yours is Marcus Rashford.
Tough day for
Who is your biggest flop?
Stressing me out. Look, Thiago Almada is who I've turned around and circulated. Only because I feel like the Atleti system has been the Atleti system for forever. Really, since Simeone has been there, we know exactly what we're doing. And I've loved the revamp this year, getting out a lot of older players, bringing in a lot of more younger players with fresher legs. 7 incomings this year it says everything you need to know about the revamp. But there's going to be one casualty. And I had to circulate one, only because of the attention, the fee, and look, the creativity we've seen from him. It's already documented. We already know the relationship he has with Angel Carrera. And I know I'm going to get in a lot of trouble because obviously the American connection on here. But I'm just circulating and thinking to myself, this might be one step too far. He might need an element of just settling into this process.
I love it. All right. Wow. That was great.
Fun.